Albert Einstein literally went back on what he said and said there must be an ether.
Right.
And then we just all forgot that. It is like the reality is made of little pixels, like a TV screen.
Sure.
And plasma is those like neutral pixels that can be filled with the colors of consciousness.
The future ancestors. Let's define this, or let's help people understand what you mean. Dana Kippel, we're live.
Yay.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
I've been so excited to meet you. You were brought to my attention a couple of months ago by my friend Anna, who we were just talking about.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So shout out the Wild Aura. She said, hey, you should check her out. She's doing some really interesting things. And then on the episode I just recorded, Dr. Marietta Palavanova.
Oh, yes.
She was
love her.
She's like, you got to talk to Dana.
Yeah.
So I guess y'all met at the Monroe Institute.
Yes.
Doing MC Squared with Dr. Joe. So, and much love for your recently released episode with him.
Yes. Yeah.
That seemed like a lot of fun.
Yes. Joe is amazing. Dr. Joseph Gallagher is his name. He has a book called Liquid Luck. Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah. So good.
But so thanks for sitting down with me. It's
Woo!
a beautiful day that none of y'all get to see.
I really think it is a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's very Twilight vibes.
Very Twilight vibes and very, I just want to wake up slow, have a cup of coffee and enjoy the vibe.
Yes. I thought I was really lucky because every day I see the sunrise out my window, and today was the first day I was like, oh, it doesn't always rise because there's clouds.
Right. Oh, you can't see the mountains today.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. And you're really doing some cool stuff. You're really promoting ideas around plasma, consciousness, and the way those interact, which is totally new territory for me.
It is for everyone, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind, just give us a brief, what is plasma in this? I'm used to it as the fourth state of matter.
Yeah. Yeah, so your understanding is the fourth state of matter. It's an ionized gas. There's solid, liquid, gas, and then plasma.
Right.
My understanding of it is science. I like to use the term, have you heard of the black elephant in philosophy?
You mentioned, but I'm not familiar with it. I know black swan.
Okay, I think it's black elephant, unless I'm just calling it, maybe it's the pink elephant. I don't know. But there's an elephant, and I feel like science is the lens of looking at the elephant's leg. If the elephant is plasma, science is touching one leg of it, which is the aurora borealis, lightning, blood plasma, which is a different type of plasma, but they have the same behaviors and properties. So they're actually, plasma is more of a behavior than a state of matter. I say it's the behavior of the fabric of reality. So there's a beautiful way to study this amazing fabric of reality that I say is plasma or a living ether by looking at the plasma in science. So I love to jump off by starting that at the point that everyone should study plasma and how it behaves with electromagnetism, because that actually hints at how the fabric of reality, which is a finer plasma, just like a living ether that is multidimensional and sentient, how electromagnetism works with plasma in science is how consciousness works with plasma in these higher realms or in the fabric of reality.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I know.
How do we, I love all that.
I can say the definition in one line.
Yeah, let's start with that definition, the way you're understanding it.
Yes.
How you got there, and then you made some pretty bold claims there around consciousness and the way it's interacting, and the idea that plasma is living. Like, I love this, and I want to understand it.
Yeah. Okay, well, so what I call plasma, it is the expanded definition of plasma. It is a multidimensional, living, sentient fabric of reality. So that is what plasma is. It is like the reality is made of little pixels, like a TV screen.
Sure.
And plasma is those like neutral pixels that can be filled with the colors of consciousness.
Got it.
It's moldable. Plasma means to mold in Greek, or the molded.
Oh, that's interesting. And it's interesting that they chose that name, because a lot of what we're referring to here is also the way we define or identify through language what something is by its origin of understanding.
Yes, so it's very interesting. And also, well, no, I won't get into that right now, but yes.
Oh, won't you?
Okay, so that was my definition. Then what did you say? How did I come to this?
Well, I do want to get to how you came to it, but let's also take a step back and look at where consciousness comes into play here.
Okay,
there are two major schools of thought where there's a division on whether or not conscious is primary or the result of,
Yeah.
or if it loops around. Who knows?
I think it's both. Yeah, I think it's a torus. I think it's a feedback system. And plasma is the thing that makes up that feedback system. So
Oh, cool.
I think that that plasma is like the ocean. It is the living ether ocean and is the vehicle for consciousness.
It's the medium through which it travels.
Yes,
maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
So, consciousness is a bunch of highways. It's traveling on photons as packets of information or packets of intelligence. And that's in the third dimensional sense. I could get into like fourth and fifth dimensional stuff, but we'll leave that because that's a stretch right now.
Yeah.
But so plasma, I don't believe is conscious. So you could say it is. In a way, you could say it's almost like the cosmic brain because consciousness is flowing within it.
Okay. Okay.
But it's the same way as how, okay, you're conscious, but you can also observe your consciousness.
Which is a wild thing.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
Right.
With your, what I call awareness, or you could have called fifth dimensional consciousness or higher self or God awareness, whatever you want to call it. That is your awareness actually observing through plasma, observing your consciousness system. So I think there's three-dimensional consciousness, which is the feedback system with reality. Then there's fourth-dimensional consciousness, which is this kind of interstitial liminal plasma layer of like thoughts and emotions. It's kind of what can observe your thoughts.
Yep.
And then you can also have a mind that observes you observing your thoughts. So
right.
There's three. So that's what I think the kind of higher self or awareness is. So to me, there's three levels, and three is an important number, obviously, in most religions and mythology.
Got it. So just to bring it back around, it's not the plasma itself is consciousness or conscious, rather it's the carrier signal, or it's the, as we were saying, the medium through which
it's the medium. And if there are certain behaviors of plasma and certain elements, and there's a certain environment in plasma, then it can start to hold consciousness. Yeah. So consciousness always travels through it. Like there are certain environments that can create consciousness. I call it intermediate plasma. So if it's too hot, it can't sustain consciousness. I think it can only amplify it, like the sun or fire. And then if it's too cold, I don't think it can sustain consciousness either. But it still has intelligent properties, such as cold plasma, which they're using right now for non-invasive techniques to cure bladder cancer. They use a lot of cold plasma and many other things. There's also neon lights. And then I think, that there is I think plasmoids and dusty complex plasma is the closest thing to what can hold consciousness in science. And I think they're studying it right now, and we're going to find out a lot of cool stuff about that. And then the best thing that plasma that holds consciousness is our bioplasma, or our auric field, or our biofield. I think that is a fourth dimensional plasma that we cannot see that holds our consciousness.
Which is super interesting that we can't see it unless there are technologies.
Kirlian photography.
Thank you.
We see the photons emitting from our plasma. It's so obvious because that's what they do in the northern lights.
I love it when it's obvious for you, and it is super not obvious to most casual observers, right?
It's just pattern recognition.
Correct. And I don't think that's a problem. I think that's actually fascinating because we can also jump off on a tangent here around cultural normatives and the way that people interpret the world around them. And you would think, one would suggest that we should be able to see this plasma all around us, and yet we can't.
Neither can fish with water. Yeah.
Exactly. And
I can see it.
Well,
I have visual snow, which is seeing plasma, in my opinion.
That's dope. I don't have visual snow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a joke around this. Is the visual snow in the room with us right now? I mean, the answer is yes.
It's all over. Yep.
Yeah, I sat down. I was a big skeptic on Kirlian photography, and I sat down and had it done, and it was weird. Like seeing those colors and seeing how they were different for everybody. I can't explain it. I haven't done a deep dive.
Yeah, so I've done deep dives on. I will say there's an even, and I'm not, smart enough in my mind to remember the word, but there's another kind of Kirlian photography that is peer reviewed that came out. I have it in my phone somewhere, and it's the same kind of emissions. They're ultra weak, maybe photon emissions that they picked up on in science. And there's a peer reviewed, they did it with mice recently. And that is, they don't even call it Kirlian photography, it's something else, but that also proves that and when we die or mice die, it goes away.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was in the last 2 years that article came out.
That's super interesting.
I could try to find it really quick while we're talking.
Yeah, you're
because
good.
I want people are going to wonder.
People are going to wonder.
Yeah, let me chat GPT it.
Let's go.
We
Hey,
could get into ChatGPT.
in AI we trust, y'all.
No, we don't. What is the study with mice where they found ultra weak photon emissions in the last 2 years, ? And when they died, they went away. This is what AI is good for. AI is not good for coming up with your own intuition and ideas. I believe AI is a great supportive technology, but that's it.
At least for now.
So if you want to...
Okay. You're thinking of the study imaging ultra-weak photon emission from living and dead mice and from plants under stress. See, I've heard about the plants under stress element, and that's super cool.
Yeah. Well, that's how... So there's a show called The Institute where they the government kidnaps kids by Stephen King with telekinesis, and they put them under stress, and it makes their powers stronger. So there's all these conspiracy theories about that.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories around that.
It is true, though. I will say when I was under stress as a kid, I swear to God, I made a lamp fly across my room, but I also could have been imagining it. I know.
Wow, I hope you weren't that stressed.
It might have been a ghost.
It might have been. Okay, but so
anyway,
what they're basically saying, y'all, is that live mice emitted a measurable level of UPE, which I should know what that
ultra weak photon emissions, I think.
Thank you. You good. While after death, the photon emission dropped significantly, even when the bodies were kept at approximately body temperature to control for thermal effects.
Because
that's fascinating.
The aura in the plasma body, when a body dies, that little bubble we all live in as a crystallized consciousness in 3D, it goes into the fourth dimension, what you can call between heaven and earth, and then eventually goes back in what I call the fifth dimension. And this is just me talking linear. You can't really put it in a box. It's just how my mind puts it in a box. Yeah. And then in that fifth dimensional level is more where people call heaven, or where we kind of go back to this collective in my mind. But I still think we're individuals, and that we still have this, we're in this plasma bubble for life.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that plasma bubble, is that a conduit for consciousness to express through our physical experience?
It's a good question. What I would say is the plasma bubble is something that, holds our consciousness for eternity. Right. Okay. And we're immortal in this bubble. And then, yes, like every time we come to Earth, this bubble lands around the human body and starts creating our personality and 3D consciousness on Earth, feedbacking with the fabric of reality, feedbacking with other people's bubbles. It explains why you can astral project. It explains telepathy. It explains why you can feel people's vibes because you feel their bubbles. Yeah. What I think consciousness is it's actually, we're all in this torus, this bioplasma torus, and consciousness kind of fountains out like this, has like these cilia things I see, tentacles that feels outside of reality and then goes back in. And when we dream, that just turns inward and we're processing our own psyche. Yeah.
Yeah. And to bring this back to a shared passion of ours with the Monroe Institute, there are aspects of the meditative, introductory meditative states that you go through.
Yes.
They're basically the process before you go into listening to the tones, where you envision the energy field, the torus, whatever, and it's
everywhere.
It's everywhere, and they use it for various aspects of the experience. And I'm not going to go too deep onto that.
You'll have to go. We're selling it.
We're selling it. They're not paying us.
Get my coupon code.
Yeah. Hashtag
no,
pay us,
we just
please.
love them.
We love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I won't spiral us off into our experiences at Monroe. That can be a side conversation.
Can be a whole other thing. Yeah.
We'll go meditate later. It's fine.
Yes.
Which I'm looking forward to.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. So high level, we've got the definition of plasma. You've mentioned other types.
Yes.
You mentioned the cold plasma. You mentioned bioplasma.
Yeah.
There's the blood plasma
Yep.
that I always assumed that was just an awkward naming convention that was leveraged to describe the medium in which the red blood cells are moving.
So
How is that?
Irving Langmuir in 1928 named it blood plasma, or he named plasma actually in science because the blood plasma that was already named, I believe, from maybe the 1800s, I don't know. He named the space plasma after blood plasma, and it's because they have similar properties, like properties of communication and protection and kind of being this interstitial fluid or this glue of the universe. So the way I see our blood plasma, and I write about this in my book a lot more in a way more linear way. It does have the same properties. And I think that, how sometimes when we go into survival mode, you can like lift a car if you think your life or death or time slows down.
Yeah.
I actually think the plasma in our bodies allows those things to happen. I think there's a lot of unknown things with plasma that we don't realize. And I also know when people donate plasma, some of it goes to hospitals and most of it goes to research for medication. So there's a lot of special stuff our plasma does.
I didn't realize
like 90% of it goes to private corporations. Look it up.
Man.
I'm not saying not to donate plasma to save lives. I'm just saying you should know where your plasma is going. And
I was hoping it was saving lives. Thanks, Dana.
My video got taken down about this.
Oh, did it?
It did.
We done with that? No, I don't care. They can take me down.
It really is. It's stupid, but it really is the fact that blood plasma is like magical.
It's
gold. It's the alchemical gold.
It seems like it.
Literally gold.
And it's really interesting that
plasma facials.
I don't know anything about that.
Plasma facials. Kim Kardashian got one. It makes you look young. Plasma's gold. It's the what's it called? What is that thing? The youth? Vessel.
Oh.
The Holy Grail.
Okay. Yeah. Of youth.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Oh man, I have 1,000 things I want to go on to. And I think it's really interesting that do you know if this is the case? But is that when they named
space plasma
that was
1928
versus what had been previously referred to as ether, which you've referenced a few times.
Luminiferous ether. The first time ether was brought up, I think, was maybe Plato or Aristotle, which is a very long time ago, in quintessence, the fifth essence, plasma. And Plato called it the wet nurse. He said it was not like the other four elements, and it had receptive qualities that can take on any other qualities, but doesn't hold, like it can take on any quality, but it isn't those qualities. And that's exactly what plasma is. And it's really crazy that he said that back then, and then he called it a wet nurse, which is very feminine.
And he was calling it ether and called it a wet nurse.
Aristotle called it ether.
Got it.
Plato never, I guess, used the word ether. And then we fast forward all the way until the 1800s. And they started having theories in the 1700s too, I think, of animal magnetism, of vital fluid, vital force, and then orgone energy came after that, way after that. And then somewhere in there was luminiferous ether, and they believed that ether propagated the universe, but they did this test called the Michelson-Morley test, which they actually did wrong, and I write about why it was wrong in my book. They tested a stationary ether. They didn't test a moving flux, so the test was completely wrong. And they disproved ether. And then in like 1920 something, Albert Einstein literally went back on what he said and said there must be an ether.
Right.
And then we just all forgot that. And they were like, oh, and also when they were talking about, they called it radiant matter as well. When they really named it, Sir William Crookes discovered it in like 1878. It was actually called radiant matter before it was called that. And that's what Tesla called it too. Tesla worked with plasma, for those of you who don't know, literally called it radiant matter. And then he also talked about radiant energy, which is a little secret thing in my book that's, all the stuff got confiscated about.
Couldn't monetize it, Dana.
Huh?
Couldn't monetize it.
Yeah, you can't monetize this stuff. Well, there are ways to, which is why I really implore the government to look into it, because you can, guys, monetize it, and we can help the earth and still make money. But that's for another time. But back on my tangent, Michelson-Morley test was wrong. And then what happened was they were like, forget ether. And then also Sir William Crookes addressed the British Royal Society, and this is my book, about how ether, or he called it radiant matter, had paranormal properties, and that he had like seen these things he couldn't explain, and he said the scientists were scared of it. He was like calling them out. It's all in my book. It's super interesting. It's like huge paragraphs of this. And then when what they did is they stripped all the feminine and mystical properties of ether, and then in 1928 they're like, oh, here's plasma, and then they go, I mean, anyone who works in the government know this is true. It's not a conspiracy. The plasma stuff was suppressed. It was an issue of national security. They had to do with fusion. They didn't want to talk about any of the paranormal properties. But if you ask most people in the military who work with nuclear fusion, they have weird experiences. And there's just, Anyway, there's so much there. But they basically restricted the paranormal properties, called it plasma, and hope probably no one would ever talk about it again. But here we are.
And I mean, you kind of skipped over it, and I really want to understand, what were those paranormal properties that you're referring to? Is this what we've been discussing? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to hold it up, be like, yo,
this is
I wrote a 700-page book. My name's Dana.
Force. I wrote it in the last year, but it was in my head for the last 5 years, and I was trying to be a famous actress because I didn't think this was cool, which we'll get into, and I didn't want to write it. I was refusing the call of the hero's journey. Okay. Oh, you like almost are right here. That's so funny that you're...
I bookmarked it on purpose.
There was a guy, Frank Washington Berry, that no one knows about. He worked with planes, and he talked a lot about the plasma stuff too. Okay, here he is. So let me just bookmark that in case someone refer. Okay, guys, so this is the stuff they used to talk about that was like no one has ever heard of. So Sir William Crookes, basically, I'll paraphrase just not to read this all. Well, I'll read this one. He said, this was in 1898 in Bristol, addressing the British Association for the Advancement of Science. Crookes said, this was about open-mindedness to X-rays, which also had a lot to do with plasma. He said, to stop short in any research that bids fair to widen the gates of knowledge, to recoil from fear of difficult or adverse criticism is to bring reproach on science. There is nothing for the investigator to do but to go straight on, to explore up and down, inch by inch, with the taper his reason, to follow light wherever it may lead, even should at times it resemble a will-o'-wisp. And plasma and will-o'-wisps are the same thing. Will-o'-wisps in mythology were fairies or lights that some people thought were demonic, but it was really just like glowing plasma, like how we see those plasmoids in the sky. It was kind of like that.
When you're saying plasmoids, you're referring to the orbs.
The orbs people are
and
seeing.
what some people are calling drones, what some people are calling heavenly objects or spiritual entities.
Yes, and I think obviously the drones are different than orbs. And I think also that, like when I was at Monroe Institute, I saw these will-o'-wisps, these like holographic lights in the bed with me. Like I literally experienced that. And
I've
they're
heard
like
other people say that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're like our future ancestors. But this one's more about X-rays. So let me actually go to.
I'd also like to just point out that you just threw out the framework of future ancestors without batting an eye.
Yeah.
I think that's a concept that people are gonna have questions about.
Yes, I'm gonna talk about that. Okay, so he also said, okay, this subconscious. Hold on.
While you do that, I'm gonna check something real quick.
I think we has been running from the. Okay, he called it a vis medicatrix. That means healing powers of nature. Sir William Crookes about radiant matter. He said the vis medicatrix, thus evoked as if it were from the depths of the organism, is a good omen for the upward evolution of mankind. And then he said, a formidable range of phenomena must be scientifically sifted before we effectually grasp a faculty so strange, so bewildering, and for the ages so inscrutable as the direct action of mind on mind, which is kind of what I'm talking about, how there's like some besides consciousness.
And how were they quantifying this? Like, what a wild observation.
Yeah. I mean, he's a whole address, so I'm not sure.
Sure.
But we can get into that. I just know what I wrote here. Oh, wait, one more thing. He said, it has been said that nothing worth proving can be proved nor yet disproved. And this is the same thing with plasma, because what I'm saying you can't prove, but you also can't disprove what I'm saying.
Right.
And people can feel it. True, though, this may have been in the past, it is true no longer. The science of our century has forged weapons of observation and analysis by which the verus tyro may profit. Don't know what that means. Science has trained and fashioned the average mind into habits of exactitude and disciplined perception, and in doing so has fortified itself for tasks higher, wider, and comparatively more wonderful than even the wisest among our ascended to the point of vision far above earth. Wait, I'm sorry. I said this wrong. Let me restart. I'm better when I'm talking, not reading. Science has trained and fashioned the average mind into habits of exactitude and disciplined perception, and in so doing has fortified itself for tasks higher, wider, and comparatively more wonderful than even the wisest among our ancestors imagined. Like the souls in Plato's myth that follow the chariot of Zeus, it is ascended to the point of vision far above earth. It is henceforth open to science to transcend all we now think we know of matter and to obtain new glimpses of a profounder scheme of cosmic law. So anyway, he was just like telling these people, we need to. Can I read one more by Frank Ray Washington?
Please do.
Okay, because this one's like probably the most important thing I feel like I wrote in the book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it just is. I mean, yeah.
Oh, almost there.
I don't understand.
Shut up, Siri. Sorry, guys. I'm not perfect. I told my phone to shut up. So Frank Washington Berry was... I'm trying to find... Oh, here he is. Okay. His obituary is on NASA, so I know he did some work with them. He called them ether particles. And what year is this in? This might have been in the 1913 before we named it plasma. He said he spoke of ether particles formed by electrons out of a medium of what he called the aura. He goes, the aura is stronger than steel, but this strength results from an intimate connection with an infinite source of energy, which is spiritual. So does this invisible spirit control the body. And even so, public opinion, a seemingly intangible thing, is stronger than the most powerful autocrat, and in the end will prevail. And then he says, the aura is the fundamental substance, as Sir Oliver Lodge says of it in his searching analysis. It cannot really be ordinary matter, because ordinary matter is definitely differentiated from it and is presumably composed of it. But the inertia of ordinary matter, however it be electrically or magnetically explained, must in the last resort depend on something parentally akin to inertia in the fundamental substance which fills space. So anyway,
there's a beautiful curiosity that's sort of on display with these quotes from the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, that almost seem to have vanished at the current time.
Yeah.
Or in the current time. Like you can
until now.
You can look at the things that Einstein was writing about with some of his curiosity. You can look at John Wheeler and the way he was describing hope as a fundamental element of reality. And these were the great thinkers, and they all seem to be topics that are verboten at this point. We're not allowed to speak of them because it's been stripped from the discussion that we have around what is this experience of life. And this is my little side quest here. We've moved to a purely objective exploration of the world around us versus having these subjective experiences. Participatory, subjective, our own expression of the experience. And it's, you've mentioned this on prior interviews that I've heard you discussing. I don't generally know how to talk about the differentiation between masculine and feminine in terms of thought processes, models, religious structures. But it does seem very much that the pendulum has swung fairly far in one direction. And I know a lot of people are going to come at me for this. And somehow that's shifted in the last 150 years. And I'm not sure what led to that or why.
Fear. I think all this stuff we just read, I think people were starting to open to it. And then, capitalism and consumerism, like, how can we box this? Oh, we can't. Like, how can we control this? You can't control plasma. You can't control people being empowered in themselves. You can't control the fact that someone's power lies within their consciousness. You can't sell someone stuff easily when they're not in this hypnotized spell thinking the power's outside of them. So I think all these things were a concern maybe to people. I also think it's not all on them. Whoever them is, I think it's all also
the Verus Tiro, right? That was referred to there.
Yeah, I don't know what that word means.
Well, I believe Verus would be rooted in truth.
Oh, okay.
Veritas, Verus, etc.
Oh, I see.
And then Tiro sounds sort of like the tyrant.
Oh, okay.
I could be making that up.
No, I'm sure. But yes, I think I love a good conspiracy theory, but I think there's conspiracies, and I think we feed into them, and it's like, when are we going to take accountability and say, okay, but how do we change the story? And how do we, be like, okay, or we can either blame these people our whole lives that are like fake and like the Wizard of Oz behind this curtain, and they're just normal people that are just in fear.
Yeah.
Or we can take our life in our own hands and learn this stuff and create a new story and start changing reality and dive back into the mystical and the participatory cosmos and learn, this dance or feedback system of reality, and learn about the things that are latent in us that we can't even imagine, that are like magical, that can happen if you just like believe and work on yourself and face your own demons and fears. And I think it was almost like they got performance anxiety, or I don't know what the word is, but it's like they were just right there.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you just reach the darkest part of yourself, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like that. I think people got scared.
Yeah.
And now
they
I think
click out.
Yes, and now I think we're at like 100 years later, like literally to a T, like in the 20s, right?
Yep.
In the 2020s, which sounds funny, and it makes me feel old. And now I think we're all feeling empty and missing that warmth and missing, and also like we're in an age of AI where like everyone has their own truths, and I think everyone wants to make everyone wrong or right. And this is what we kind of talked about. It's like, how can we hold space for everyone's truths and understand we're all in our own participatory reality.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's something that I've
Our
heard
bubble.
a lot of people referring to. Even just the last few weeks, that's come up in conversation, just on the side,
Yeah.
around every single person you're encountering
Mm-hmm.
is living in their own world.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was awesome.
Yeah.
They're all living in their own world,
Yeah.
and you're living in yours. And whenever these two worlds start to meet,
Mm-hmm.
part of this is a nice callback to
Mm-hmm.
your approach to describing the auras or the energetic fields or the plasma that in your framework that surrounds us and helps us to engage with the world around us, and recognizing the world that, like today,
Yeah.
I physically entered your world
Yes, my
in this
bubble.
exact space,
Yes.
and we're engaging, and we've never met before.
Yes.
But there's an interesting energetic exchange,
Yes.
and we're having ideas and conversation and negotiating our two viewpoints of the world.
We're creating a third mind. So we're creating, this is what I talk about in my book. I haven't gotten to talk about this on any podcast yet, but what I call plasma intelligence. We're creating a third bubble. So it's like the Vessia Pisces or Pisces. I cannot pronounce words. Everyone knows this who follows me. So two bubbles coming together.
Let's call it a Venn diagram.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's what it's called too. So you create a third thing. And in my book, I write about it. It's like, you can call it the divine child, matter, creation, whatever you want to call it. It's the same masculine, feminine, child created. You create this new bubble that does not have our crystallized consciousness in it, but it's almost like this God energy, this creation energy of two points of view meeting and creating a third emergent gestalt of a thing that cannot be understood only in this reality, but can like create new things. And that's what we're doing all the time. And that's why it's good to be open to other people and opinions, and no scientist or person like me should shut themselves off from any opinions or religions or ideas. Or like, I like to be open to everything. And I went through a period where I wasn't, is just because I was in fear. And then from those things, I can learn new things about my thing from my own perspective, or I could shut off my perspective. And like you're doing now, it's kind of like osmosis. It's like, going more into mine, if that makes sense. Yeah, anyway, it creates this third thing, what I call fourth dimensional plasma, which is this ball of plasma intelligence. And then there also is ways to get your consciousness inside that third thing and then communicate with a fifth dimensional thing. So it's this whole thing.
So partly for me and partly for the listeners in their cars or at home or at the gym or wherever you are, thank you. What is the fifth dimensional aspect that you keep referring to?
So the way I kind of see our universe is like, you can picture we're in a picture frame, and the picture frame is the fourth dimension.
Okay.
And then inside the frame is the third dimension. So all the fourth dimension feeds into the third dimension.
So our primary experience being that third dimensional
experience. And it's all made of plasma. And then the fourth dimensional frame, and picture if the plasma painting goes sideways, and it's a very thick painting with a lot of gradients and layers for every timeline you could ever live.
Oh, nice.
And then this fourth dimensional thought akashic field of thoughts and emotions and your, feelings, that's what makes up this like darker layer, this fourth dimensional plasma. And it always is feeding into our reality and every single timeline. So you could travel to different timelines using this fourth dimensional layer. Then on the outside of this picture frame, we're in a museum now. The museum is the fifth dimension. And it's where you can call God lives, our higher selves lives, collective consciousness, whatever. And that is, a place we go when we're outside of time and space, where we can visit other worlds, maybe other realities that has nothing to do with timelines. And that is where, you can call God or heaven as well. And, I visit there a lot in my mind and my travels. And then, there's also this layer. But the fourth dimensional layer we actually need to master, because that gateway through darkness is what brings us to this like fifth dimensional neon light. Because if we're not standing on the platform of this, we'll never see this. And it's also about bringing the fifth dimension into our earthly experience. These beings in the fifth dimension who are our future ancestors, which I'm happy to get into, they just want to support us in bringing heaven to earth. We don't need to ascend. We do that when we die anyway.
Right.
It is about how to live like children of God or the divine child now by bringing joy back into our lives.
And so to bring it back around to a prior point that you had made,
This is so
around.
weird. How do I?
No, you're good.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know how I think these things. That's what I'm
I
saying.
do want to get to
It
that
just
after
starts to
this.
come through. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
I'm like watching reality TV half my life, and now I'm talking about this. Okay.
Right. And the interesting thing is you're not the only person that's coming to these conclusions, or at least conclusions in this vein.
Maybe I'm the only person that admits they watch Love Island and comes to these conclusions.
I can't make fun of that.
Okay.
I watch way too much of The Challenge.
Yes.
Which has a lot of Love Islanders on it. Sorry.
The frame.
So you were referring to the fifth dimension as the gallery, and previously you had referred to the ability to access fifth dimension consciousness as when you are able to observe your own conscious process, I think is the way you put it, or something similar to that.
When you observe yourself, when you observe your own consciousness process, you're in the fourth dimension. Then when you're observing that, you're in the fifth dimension.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I am familiar with that experience, and I've never thought about it in that framework that you're leveraging. And I would like to suggest or recommend to anybody listening to consider playing with that idea. This might be a little bit wild, but there are ways to either through meditation or just use your imagination and think, I see this thought. How can I observe this thought from a step backwards?
And then observe yourself observing the thought from a step backwards again.
Yeah. And there are little visualization techniques you can use to attempt this. You can even just imagine looking at yourself. I don't know.
You could draw it.
You can draw it. Or if you're in a dream, sometimes you see yourself in an isometric third person view. Like that's a fairly common thing. I am not telling you that this is the way and the light, but also it's an experience that I think we all have access to.
Expand your consciousness. And I will say, just as a caveat, so when you're having that type of experience, you're still in your personality filter in, 3D. Yeah. So what you have to remember when you're going through this fourth dimensional realm and fifth dimensional realm, you might come across beings or ideas or thoughts.
Yep.
When you have your personality filter and you have a lot of trauma like I have, you're going to have a lot of fear-based things come up. That's actually coming up for you to heal. You're not being haunted or possessed. Those things are actually your memories in this fourth dimensional timeline that are trauma, that look like demons and witches and all these scary things. And then you have also your ancestors, because it's your timeline, that come to you as like dakinis or like, ancestor people, or there's so many different beings in this field. But you have to first heal, or at least start working on, number one, healing your trauma and then feeling authentically. And that kind of clears out your bubble, your personality bubble. And you can eventually learn to visit this fifth dimensional space with an open bubble, which is when you have these really pure experiences, if that makes sense. But when you're doing this observational thing, just be aware you're probably still in your own personality filter. So it's going to be a different experience than a felt sense experience of almost like this connective bliss that you can have if you're not in your own filters, which I can't explain how to do.
I'd like to, but I'm going to have to think about that because I haven't thought it through the personality filter framework that you're describing. But it makes sense to me. Sorry if it doesn't make sense to y'all. I also haven't thought about how to explain this.
I mean, I can go into it a little.
Do you mind?
Yeah. So, like, this is something that happens over years, but it also can happen when you're in transitional states of like grief and loss. So I don't know if anyone's had a spiritual experience when they've like lost someone. But sometimes this is when you know that these other beings, these higher dimensional beings, which I think are our higher selves, our future ancestors, have free will. Sometimes they'll just fucking come on in, because when you're feeling grief, you actually feel ultimate love for the person you lost.
That's right.
So those actually do remove your filters, because when you're in that pure state of love, you're not thinking about other stuff. You're in that pure state of like, you lost someone, fuck everything else going on, very pure. And then the other way to get there is obviously through love, or through like curiosity and neutrality. So curiosity and neutrality usually removes your filters of trauma and your survival 3D consciousness programming, because you're questioning your own belief systems, which almost like turns you in an open system. In a closed system, when you're in 3D survival consciousness, you don't have like the turned out openness to like sense the truth.
Something I really thought was interesting, and it's a little bit of a side note, grief as love.
Yes.
And it might be the experience. Sorry, I just love moving through ideas of love and grief and absence and all these things.
Yeah, and these are real human things.
Extremely human, and I think they connect us all. Not to be morbid or dark here, but grief in this case, we all die. Grief in this case being the removal of love from your system, or the perceived absence
The perceived
of
absence.
a previously tangible love, and that being removed from your immediate
Physically, at least.
experience, physically at least, and processing through that.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm really
Mhm.
enjoying the idea of that
Mhm.
as a faction or factor of love.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so I just wanted to recognize that and say thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I appreciate that way of thinking.
Yes, yes. It's that's so it's so beautiful. It's like a silver lining. Like I lost my dad in January, and when you, or even when you go through breakups, when you lose people, you can have also paradoxes of feelings where you're angry, where you feel maybe nothing, and then eventually there is this like grief. I feel like everyone goes through of something, and yeah, when you're grieving, it's just you're grieving the misconception that we're just physical beings
That's right.
and the physical loss. But what you're also feeling is the love your soul feels for that human without their personality filters. So no matter if my dad and me had a complicated relationship or not in this life, my soul is almost feeling like the longing to reunite with like those beings, when I leave here. So it's also realizing that you can connect with them. It's the misconception that we can't connect with them here. So you can do it through love. I think love is plasma. I think love is the binder of everything, which is plasma.
Yeah,
And that's why you connect to plasma through love, which explains why when we have meditation, have you had a blissful experience ever?
yes.
Well, how do you have that if everything's consciousness if you're experiencing something? I think you're experiencing the fractal pink plasma with your consciousness. It's differentiated, bitch. I'm just kidding.
No, I
I'm
don't.
saying that to the scientists who say everything is consciousness. Everything I
Yeah.
think is awareness though. So let me differentiate here.
Yeah, please.
So consciousness is like what I think consciousness is like, yes, this feedback system, right? And then also that's what it is. But it really, what I think most people are thinking consciousness is everything is awareness.
Mhm.
I'm that the way I kind of look at it is almost like,
With your awareness.
yeah, like the only way I can explain it is, okay, like I said, everything is like little pixels, like plasma bubbles. So it's almost like this gelatin bubble of plasma.
Mhm.
If something outlined that, I would say that awareness outlines every single bubble of reality. Like it's super just observable, neutral. It's just always there in the background and it like works through plasma. That's what I would say. And I think everything is made of that. Like awareness, the universe experiencing itself as God consciousness, whatever,
Yep.
God awareness. That I would say is everything. So maybe that's where people get confused. But as far as like three-dimensional consciousness, I don't think that is everything. So I'd like to differentiate between awareness and consciousness. And I think that will help us in the future with these differentiations, will help us not only in like technology and in health, but just in like, life, having those differential qualities. Yeah.
So there are like three little jumping off points that I'd love to make, but one before we refer to it again is the future ancestors
Oh,
element.
yeah.
Because we keep talking, or you keep mentioning it, I should
Yeah.
say.
Well, it's so important.
Let's define this, or let's help people understand what you mean.
Yeah. So future ancestors, I would say, are what some people call our higher selves, or what some people call God, or I also call it emergent energy. So it is kind of like, okay, so our ancestors are like people from our past,
Mhm.
right? So you can almost, yeah, okay,
In the
hold on.
physical lineage.
Yes, in our every timeline, we just have ancestry of other people in our families. Maybe we were that person once, or maybe it's just part of our family. Like, I don't know everything, I don't know that.
Right.
So there's our ancestors, and then there is our future selves, which is it almost is like this God energy of our higher selves that are collective, but also still us individualized. So it is us, right? And I think that because this is outside time and space, it actually is a mix of our ancient selves and our future selves, because it is actually just something that the mind can't even imagine.
And while we're all within the frame of this 3D picture that's
Yeah.
sitting in a frame in a gallery,
Yeah.
all of this has occurred. The observers lie outside of what we look at as linear time.
Yes, and also the best reason I think that is like almost picture like a plasma bubble as an ancestor, like without consciousness, like a sentient plasmoid just flying around, like those orbs that I think
Mhm.
that consciousness actually comes into to like remote view us.
Mhm.
These little orbs are our ancestors, And then we're like the middle of that, where we're now conscious in these orbs, right? Because our ancestors, I think, are actually like if we really get into ancestry, I think that these plasmoids are our ancestors. It was when we were pure feeling, when we were in almost pure survival, like pure feeling and survival, like almost animalistic. And then I think that we eventually, awareness or consciousness kind of came into this or developed this in this reality or something.
Like a proto-evolutionary state moving forward.
Something. And then our future ancestors are almost like, okay, it's like the consciousness is more liquefied in this plasma bubble, and they can freely go in and out and visit us and all these things. So what they want us to know is that, no, wait, let me not get into that yet. So yes, there are
I was excited.
Yes. So there are our future ancestors because they're outside time and space. So the easiest way to say it is just refer to them as our past and present. But this is the thing. So even though they are in our future, and that might seem deterministic, they are also watching us grow because they are in a future potential. They are in a potential state in our future.
Oh, cool.
And they and our ancestry, all timelines and them as beings, feed into us flowering into emergent new timelines. So there's actually future and past, and then there's an emergent future. So when we heal ourselves, when we turn from victim state into co-creative states with plasma, we create emergent futures. And this is why they're so interested in us, because it's not an experiment. It's just how the universe works. It doesn't have to be all boxed into a fucking experiment. It's just how it works is that they are these beings that are our grandparents, ourselves, God, supporting us in creating new timelines, and we're expanding the universe. It is the expansion, the dark energy of the universe growing, which happens through creation. But we're not creating our realities. We are co-creating our realities with these beings. So we are actually, and my whole book it's in the beginning, it's called Bridge of the Magpies. The introduction is to reunite us back with our higher selves, because it's almost like, here's plasma, we're working with clay. You can mold it with one hand, which is our third dimensional self, or you can mold it with our fifth dimensional self and third dimensional self, which is how you create more intentional emergent futures, not based on like survival consciousness. And they just are here to support us in our experience and our evolution. They're not here to save us. They're not here to curse us. It is very neutral. So that is what I think.
Super, super interesting, because that's essentially, this is me reflecting and trying to understand. You're really describing something of a non-deterministic feedback loop, frankly. A whole system that system. Is an open system which has feedback loops built in. Holographic is the right way to put it.
Feedback loops built in from just consciousness experiencing many consciousnesses experiencing things. It's a fucking, sorry,
you're good.
It's a torus of feedback loops everywhere.
Yeah.
It's our bubbles feeding back with bubbles. That's why the flower of life is a feedback loop of a trillion. It's like there's so many layers to symbolism, but the infinity sign, the feedback loop is everywhere. And this is really a torus. It's a torus cut in half.
Yeah. And it also, this perception of reality brings us back to a state of appreciating the beauty of this experience, I think.
Of
because
the mystery.
The mystery.
That's what people call God. That is the actually number one thing my book too I talk about is the mystery.
Yes. Frequently
surrendering
you refer to
the mystery.
Yeah. And
you can't just control reality.
And taking us back from that deterministic, we are nothing more than the chemical interactions within our brains with no capacity, right? I know. Yeah.
We're in a deterministic, by the way, we are in a, also they are right. We're in a deterministic universe. The scientists are right. When you're in a survival state of consciousness, you actually create the same autopilot loops you've had in every other timeline. So you'll die usually the same ways. You'll make the same mistakes, just like how you date the same girl 12 million times until you heal your trauma.
I feel seen.
Yeah. So it's until you heal your trauma, then you start attracting new people and you're like, that's when you feel like it's a simulation, which is why I also understand simulation theory, because you're like, whoa, like I changed. It's like, no, it's not simulation. It's just feedback.
And breaking out of that state, of all things, the Nine Inch Nails song, every day is exactly the same.
Yes.
And like, it doesn't have to be.
It can be emergent.
And
it can be a mystery.
You get to step back and say, wait, but I don't want it to be this way. I have capacity. I have autonomy. I can go out and say, silly little things, start small. I'm going to take a left instead of a right at this street and see where I go.
That's when the fear comes in. That's when why the people in the 1800s didn't move forward, because that's actually what I think the fall is in the religion. It's like you're almost falling and you don't realize you're flying. So when we're in the unknown and we don't know what our future holds as a being, because like, for instance, I know right now I'm in a timeline that I've never been in because I'm healing stuff I've never healed, or I don't know what tomorrow ever brings. And when you're in this weird feedback loop of control, it's comfortable. You can predict almost what you're going to get. It's like this weird safety. And then outside of it, at first you feel this immense terror because you feel like you're falling. And then I think people just don't realize, no, you're flying. And it's okay. And that's about learning, once again, to trust the plasma, to trust the feather bed we fall into when we jump off the cliff. That was a quote by Terrence McKenna. But
Nice.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
But that's why we have to heal our relationship with plasma, because we all think everything's consciousness, and we don't realize we're doing a dance with our dance partner who we don't trust. And that is why we can't live in the unknown or mystery. And we're all trying to control life and be in survival, and everything looks like blocks instead of like awesome, fruitful plant cities.
Yeah, like Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, one of the biggest turning points in my life was when I realized that I didn't need to spend all of my time trying to predict what was going to happen and trying to control every aspect so
yeah,
that,
I'm
so that
working on it
nothing
still,
could,
guys.
hey, I still am too.
Yeah, I
But
can know this and not embody it all.
100%,
But
by
some
the
people
way.
don't say that.
Yeah, I guess
People
they
lie.
don't. Yeah,
A lot of spiritual people.
I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot, and it's what kept me away from this space for so long.
Yeah.
With so many people claiming to embody these things and then not exhibiting that in actual life.
No, because
And
we're
then saying,
human.
100% we're human.
Yeah. That's why this is metaphysics, not
It's the best worst.
spirituality.
It's the best worst.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
We had a brief chat
Uh-huh.
about simulation theory, and you were bringing up the idea of this experience is God experiencing itself, which I don't necessarily see as split from the constructs of simulation theory, which, I mean, if we want to shout out our boy Riz.
Hey, Riz.
What's up, Riz? Dr. Riz.
I love Riz's book, even though I'm not a simulation theory person.
Sure.
I will say, actually, I've said this before, I believe 99.9% of his book. I don't like the connotation with machines and stuff, but I love his theory.
100%. And that's exactly where I was. I think we were talking about this just a little bit before we started taping.
Yes.
It's a great framework.
Yeah.
For people who have that mindset or set of experiences.
Yeah. It's a game.
Yeah. And in a sense, sure. 100%. It feels like a game sometimes. And there are rules which sometimes feel arbitrary, but we get to explore those rule sets and patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, it doesn't necessarily have to be a computer.
Mm-hmm.
We can also look at Tom Campbell and how he sees it. In your framework, you would refer to it as plasma. In his framework, it's a data stream. And I think, again, that comes from dude was an engineer.
Yeah, he just talks about information. He doesn't talk about intelligence or mystery or anything.
Largely that's, yeah.
I still think he's a genius too, though. I think his stuff is really accurate, and he's having this moment, which I'm very excited for him, because I know he's been hustling for a while with that book. So yeah, I mean, once again, we're all just saying our perspectives, and I think they resonate with groups of people. And some people will love Tom's stuff and Riz's stuff, and that will change their lives. And then some people will need my stuff, and if you don't want to dive into your feelings and trauma, maybe don't dive into my stuff.
It's truth, which is a great segue for how you got here.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, me.
I know. Who are you, Dana?
Plasma.
It's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Is getting to understand how my guest, in this case you, Dana Kippel, came to be sitting here.
Yes. Where do we start? It's so much. Such a loaded question.
I mean, there are so many aspects of your life that I find fascinating.
Yeah.
Not that I know you super well.
Yeah. Ask away. I'm open book.
Yeah. Well, you came. Let's start with how you came to the ideas that you've been writing about in your book around plasma, and I think that'll help us move backwards. Or
sure. So funny enough, in elementary school, I was great at math and science. I scored, very high. I then developed a drug addiction, didn't go to college, never, did anything with academics. So my intelligence was kind of dormant for a while. So anyway, I think that set my life up for what I'm about to say. And then I went through, rehab, started working in mental health to try to help other people, realized that industry is corrupt, just like every other industry. That, I could help more people being myself than working in something making a lot of money where a lot of people are dying and it's not really making sense. Everything's broken. And then I opened up a food business. Then I started, moved that to LA, sold the food business, started acting, went into science fiction filmmaking, was in a relationship where the guy was not trustworthy and, broke my heart. And through that, I've rediscovered myself in meditation. So thank you, Ryan. I said his name, he'll kill me. But no,
I can
really
bleep him out.
huh?
I can bleep him
No,
out.
no, you, I mean, you don't have to. I really do thank him though. And I mean, I did things when I was young. He was
Sure.
younger than me. That's just, I forgive. I've done the same thing. So, but I'm so literally actually so grateful to him because like he actually helped me reach a place of pain where I had these intentions. Now I'll get to this. I fast forwarded through so much stuff where I just wanted to feel better and I just wanted to feel connection. And I was always searching for outside myself my entire life. And I just wanted that within. And with that like light intention, I remember when I started meditating, like the third time I did transcendental meditation, I all of a sudden, and I never studied plasma ever in my life, never even knew the word. I don't think I knew the plasma ball at Spencer's, didn't know it was plasma.
I remember that.
All of a sudden in my mind, the word plasma, I see a feedback loop. I don't know if it was like on my desk or in my mind, or I wrote it on a Post-it note. There's like this infinity symbol. And I'm like, I know. It's like this, my higher self landed in my plasma spaceship and was like, I'm here. And it was like, plasma's intelligent. Plasma is the vehicle for consciousness. And I knew as I woke up out of the meditation, and I made a picture of it too, of this book. It was pink at the time. I was like, I'm going to write a book called A New Force. Like I just knew all of it. And my future self, like 3,000 years in the future, her name was Celadeus. She was feeding me this information and she said, this is it in this future and it's really helped humanity, but you're going to bring it into your reality in your own way. And this is like a co-creation thing. And then that was the only esoteric part, I guess. And then it was all pretty normal. I, just thought these things.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain. I just thought all these things. I resisted it for 4 years because I wanted to be a famous actress. And I thought this was so uncool. And now I think it's the coolest thing ever. And then eventually, like, nothing was working out. I, became more of my authentic self, got out of that relationship, and I just embraced, I feel like, my destiny, or one of my many destinies in my fun life that I get to create myself. And, this book was born, then my dad fell into a coma in December, passed away in January. And somewhere in that time, I was like, if I don't do this now, I could die tomorrow. Like, what am I doing? And then I think as through my grief process, because I was in such a state of love too, it opened me up. It was just the perfect birthing ground for this book, but it was the hardest year of my life. I was in so much fear because I had like this thing where I thought I was going to get killed for writing it. I thought that people would like kidnap me. I think it's like the witch wound women talk about where they were burned at the stake for like novelty beliefs. Like I just felt because this was against the grain, it was almost like a conspiracy egregore my mind was feeding into of like, I had past life memories of at least 7 lives where I was killed for doing things like this.
Got it.
And I can remember them. I emotionally process them. It's not a fantasy. I believe them. That's all that matters.
Yep.
And in this life, I was like, that's not going to happen. But it was still like that fear in my body and timelines of like knowing that I never got to live the life I wanted to live. In this life, I'm going to. But I had to push past the survival fears. Like writing this book, I had a stiff neck almost every day. My body was physically shaking. I was sweating so bad that it smelled like metallic. I thought I died writing this book and somehow birthed it. And now I'm alive again. It was the craziest experience of my life. It almost didn't happen. It like literally killed me writing it. Yeah.
Wow. And I've heard I've talked to several folks who have had these life-changing existential experiences through meditation and receiving massive downloads that have led them to completely shift the direction of their lives.
Yeah.
And I know
it was a gateway for me for sure.
Yeah. And there's so many different ways that people can get there. And TM seems to be transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
TM seems to be a very common way that people get there.
It was a great gateway for me. Like, I'm not going to lie and say I do it every day still. Actually, like, do it sometimes, but I hate being stuck in any framework.
Yeah.
It's like when I just feel like going outside the box, I'll do something else. But I will say, like, for not meditating, going into meditation, besides Monroe Institute, it's like one of the things I would 1,000,000% recommend.
Yeah, meditation across the board. And it almost doesn't matter how you do it. It can be.
I do it every morning.
Like for me, I go hiking and
walking meditation.
Yeah, love it. It's the best way for me to engage my body and mind without having to be totally present. I can just go.
You're in your right brain.
Feel trees.
You're in your right hemisphere. And that's how you get ideas.
Yeah,
from the fifth dimension.
And it's where I get to contemplate all the aspects of, my fears or my joys.
Yes.
God, I love it so much.
Yes.
And
too.
I mean, just another shout out to Tom Campbell. He described a lot of his inspiration or his experience coming from an early series of TM experiences.
No, we didn't. See, I have to read your book, Tom.
Yeah, you should read it.
Okay.
He talked about it. It's early on.
Okay.
So you'd have to go through all like 1,200 pages to get there. He talks about it early.
Okay.
And a lot of that primed him. So it also acts as a primer for people who start at young, walk away, come back later in life, and they're already ready. Yeah.
That's a great word.
Thank you. Yeah. And having these existential elements in our relative midlife isn't uncommon. Like none of what we're describing is unique to us.
Yeah.
It feels unique in our experiences.
Yes, I haven't said.
But we all get to do this, gang.
Yes.
Like we all get to stop and say, is this where I want to be in my life?
Yes. Yes. Like what I always say that in my book too, like what I've done, and I don't even think I'm that like, you know, amazing or special, but like what I've done, anyone can do with their own specific thing. And I didn't know my thing until, you know, I was 31, and I didn't even know that that was my thing. It's more like we don't ever know our thing really. It's just like what I chose to do, which I think differentiates me from some other people, which is, but anyone can do this, is I followed my feeling. I followed my expansion. I followed my curiosity versus like the survival frameworks I've been taught to follow my whole life.
Yeah.
Of a normal job.
And it's hard. It's hard to break away. We keep talking and circling back to this.
The hardest thing in life.
Basically looking at where you are saying, have I made decisions or not? And I just had this conversation with an old friend maybe a week ago where he was, I won't say his name because I think this might have been in confidence, but recognizing that he hadn't made any real decisions and had just been going up the corporate ladder because that's what he was supposed to do. And I understood that. I had that same experience of life.
I did in my 20s. Yeah.
Yeah. And taking the moment and saying, whoa, is this where I want to be? And you look at the relative luxury or comfort that you have and saying, but is it who I want to be?
Yeah.
Am I actually addressing the challenges that I need to address?
Yeah.
Like,
what am I doing?
why am I here?
Yeah.
What is life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's this whole, I keep using the word, but it's this whole existential framework that we get to explore.
I still have that now every day. I'm like, what is life? What do I want to do? Like, because I still get stuck in those survival frameworks of like, because once you have some success, you're hustling like, oh, now I need to make the next book, or now I need to do this and this and have this and this.
But it's like, do you?
No, because, well, I feel like yes, because I want to, but I feel like not. I don't have to rush.
Right.
What I'm thinking is, okay, the more I relax, the more abundance comes in, the more I resist, the more I struggle, the more actually leaves. So it's like, how do I create in relaxation?
Yeah.
And how do I create in this like timeless bubble where I still have a very good output. I know I do stuff great and fast, but it's like, I can't create from that strain. So it's like, why don't I just, what I say in my book too, like be in the play, be in the child state of it without the outcome, and like still do what I'm loving every day.
Yeah.
Because I can't stop. That's the thing. It's like pouring out. Like I literally, there's so much in here that I feel like I want to get out and share and help people. And
well, let's definitely do that. Let's definitely do that.
Yeah.
And I love this, and I love this construct. And we chatted about it again. I don't have to keep calling it out to that. But you were seeking fame by basically being everybody that wasn't you. And then you stopped.
Yeah.
You looked at yourself. You said, I want to do this. Let's be honest. You have more relative fame from being your effing self.
Yes. Than any
putting yourself out there at length.
Yeah. My whimsicality.
Your whimsicality. And your output right now on social media is, I'm sorry, it's intimidating.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
To me, as somebody who's trying to learn that game.
Other people told me that too, though. They're like, you do so much. And it's so funny because in my mind, I don't do enough, but that's probably like the sick toxicity of my mind.
Posting videos while driving across the country.
Yes, but the thing is,
that's baller.
That's the thing though. For me, it's not actually work because for me,
great.
It's so fun. Like, as I said, if I just think something, I record it. And if I have a cool download or idea, I put it on video. Like, I don't prepare my videos. I don't take time for anything. I don't think before I speak. I just am expressing myself. And I think that's why we're all here and if anything feels hard or resistance, you need to question like, what do you need to like let go of to let it flow? Or like, maybe can you sidestep over here a little and you're not totally aligned? You know what I'm saying? Like there's
an interesting element there that I want to talk on or have us discuss, because you say if anything feels hard or there's resistance, and also the hardest thing you've done was moving into doing this.
That's a hard thing I knew I had to do.
And you knew you had to do it.
Yeah. So should I differentiate them?
I'd like to. Yeah. Because I think Because we're also looking at
Very
anybody
nuanced.
can just go out and post every thought they have, and it's not always going to go well.
Well, see, I didn't know that. Mine didn't go well though. It's consistency as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
So like I posted my thoughts for a few months without and I got like 3 views. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's just if you are meant to do it, you know, and you're meant to reach people, you will. And that's not saying you can control, but what you can control is consistency. You can also, how Nikola Tesla said, everything works in frequency, energy, and vibration. Frequency, yes, is a frequency, but it's also frequency is consistency. Just like when you're practicing magic or energy work, the more you practice it, the more strong it gets. It's like muscle building. So like, yes, there is something to consistency. And you, even as a writer, writing every day, you start to open yourself up for whatever to come through as you're doing it. So yes, there's something to be said for consistency. But I will say, like, as a creator now, like, and it's not easy for me, but if I want to take a few days off, I can now without thinking the world's going to end or like people will forget me, because it's not about me. And I like always remember that, but you can still sometimes get stuck in it. Like, what it's about is everyone I'm helping with my videos remember that they can be their true selves and be, you know, a kid as an adult and talk about weird, unique interests without being nervous people won't like them. Like, so there's something to be said for consistency, but also, once again, everything's a paradox. There's something to also be said for relaxing and like taking a week off. Like when I went to the Monroe Institute in September, I took an entire week off social media and I got actually more emails than I've ever gotten. So it's so, and I got more offers, more money. Isn't that crazy? So that just showed me though, like, oh, like maybe this consistency thing too is like a hustle thing. But I think, anyway, it's a paradox. It's your own dance you have to figure out, but it's a mix of doing it every day and not letting yourself shut your own self down. And then it's also like, I think in the beginning, it has to be consistent, almost like the meditation, opening the window or working out, but then you have muscle memory, right? So then you learn how to be receptive and receive the incoming and know, okay, I've worked, I've put this out there. Now let me take a month or off or a week off to receive. Because if you're constantly grabbing, guess what? No hands are here to receive.
Right.
So it's all a paradox. Life is a huge paradox.
It definitely seems to be. I've had friends who refer to the duality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, if you just have fun, you get out of the duality and forget consistency or relaxing. Just have fun.
Learn to flow. Learn to enjoy the moment. Like, to me, not a damn thing I'd rather be doing than sitting here having these conversations.
It's not work.
It's not.
Yeah,
it feels like work on the lead-in.
Yeah.
And like prepping the cameras and getting the equipment and figuring out shots. Thank you for helping with that.
Yeah.
Like all the little things, doing the social media promotion.
Yes.
Nobody cares about this listening, I know, but it's the little things that help enable you to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And letting the world help you find that. Because what I've found is, while I'm doing the things that mean the most and fulfill me the best, the world comes through. It shows up.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's kind of the thing where plasma kind of organizes around you, which is a science thing.
Yeah, like, and real quick pause, like, shout out to my ladies that are helping me with, you know, the social media support, the graphic design. Y'all know who you are. I appreciate you. Like,
I appreciate you. Thank you for making this happen.
Yeah. So you came into this through meditation and a download, more or less. And you're not the only person that's exploring exactly this framework.
Yes, plasma.
Yeah.
Yes. So Robert Temple, who wrote A New Science of Heaven, I would say he's like the king of plasma. And then Eileen McCusick, who I'm interviewing actually next week, wrote Tuning the Human Biofield. And she was the first person to ever write about bioplasma that really inspired me, that I've at least read. I know then there's people before that, like, that wrote about bioenergetics. There's also a wonderful man named Jay Alfred, who I'm interviewing next month, who wrote about dark plasma beings in like 2003, who was actually really the emperor of plasma, I guess, because he talked about it before anyone I could find.
Dark plasma beings. Well,
yeah, he is a genius.
I got questions.
Is maybe in Street One. I don't know, but Jay Alfred's great. He basically talks about that there are these plasma life forms. And yeah, he's awesome. I think he is a, untapped well, and I can't wait to talk to him, and hopefully that goes through.
I can't wait to hear it.
But yeah, A New Science of Heaven, that book was really formative for me. But I will say, funny enough, when I had these plasma ideas, and this is why I know how legit this is, and that we're all just tapping into the same thing. Yeah. No idea about that book. That book wasn't out for a year after I had my idea. Didn't know who Robert Temple was. Didn't know who Eileen McCusick was. Like, all of those things. happened, I found like plasma, the idea came in and I was led to all these people. It almost like came in and showed me where I should look. But the fact, I just know it's so pure because of the way it happened. Like I wasn't trying to do this. Like, and that always reminds me in life not to try either. Cause it's like, you will be led exactly where you're meant to. Like things will find, if the more you are yourself, the more you have pure intentions, the more plasma, the more energy, the more whatever the simulation brings things to you that match your resonance. So the only way to guarantee you live the life beyond your wildest dreams is to just be yourself. How simple.
Yeah. How simple, and yet how horrifyingly terrifying
Yeah.
it can be.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, we're sort of
terrifying to let go for me. I can be myself any day of the week, maybe more 99% myself, maybe I'm still working on like 1% of vulnerability and like stuff. But like the letting go of control for me is the hardest part.
Yeah. In talking with Marietta a couple of weeks ago, there's this interesting element that occurs in young children between the ages of like 5 and 7 or so, where they go from being fully exploring and happy to be themselves to having all the social dynamics come in, having the default mode network start to turn on and recognize others, and starting to have a concern about appearing different from everybody around them. And then that experience of life starts to change the way we engage with ourselves, the way we express ourselves, and the way we view the people around us, where we start almost having these tribal mindsets and the capacity to other people.
And that happens for most adults?
It seems to happen for most people as they leave childhood.
Yeah.
And bringing it all around to what we've just been discussing, pulling ourselves back out from that framework seems to be part of the evolution or experience of life, and getting us back to embracing ourselves.
Inner child.
Yeah.
I think this is why I think I'm neurodivergent, because so for me, I did have that like switch up and to be cool and social stuff.
Totally.
Until I was like, I would say 25. And then, I feel like, like into my adulthood, that completely went away.
Cool.
I mean, I was always very neurodivergent, but, just like whimsical, I like to say that, or multidimensional thinker.
Sure.
Pattern recognition. But I think that for me, which I'm really blessed, I feel like to have and grateful that I'm like this, is I don't ever worry about how it's a paradox as well. I don't worry about how I'm going to be myself no matter what. But then I also will say I've like put out feelers to be like, oh God, like I wonder what people think. But that is slowly fading, but it never stops me from saying what I want to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not to, well, no, bring it right back to it. And that experience of attempting to get what you needed by being somebody else, like that period of your life, being an actress and seeking it that way, and then moving back to this. And I'm not sitting here trying to psychoanalyze you.
No, I'm going to tell you why I did that.
Yeah, please.
So funny enough, I'm not famous, guys, I know, but maybe I will be in 5 years, but for the plasma stuff as a scientist, polymath. But when I was a child, I always had visions that I was going to like be famous and speak in like these big stadiums. And
got it.
So when I had these visions, I don't think, like, once again, you can't dream a life beyond your wildest dreams. You can't like think of what an emergent future looks like, right?
Right.
That's why I actually can't even see tomorrow. And some people think that's why they're going to die early. And for me, I'm like, no, it's because I'm in like the newest timeline. It's like a baby timeline I've created. But when I was younger, I felt the feeling of fame. And I also maybe thought I was a little delusional, but I was like, oh, I must be a famous actress, because that's what I associated fame with.
Sure. So
then I followed the path. When I became a teenager, first tried to do a reality TV, tried to get on every reality show fucking possible, and then moved to acting and filmmaking, where I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do because I'm famous in the future. And I just followed what I thought I was supposed to do. And then I started acting. I was like, I don't really love this. Like, it's not really filling my soul. Filmmaking, I love. But that was never kind of for fame. That was more just like actually one thing I found through acting that I loved. And I do love improv too. But any day I would do this over acting, just writing and creating maybe fantasy book or like. Anyway, my point is that is actually why I went after acting, because I just thought
that was the path that you thought you had
brought me to where I felt my future was, and I was following the feeling to the future. My mind couldn't figure it the heck out.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, because actually it's funny, when I acted, I don't think I was the best actor. I mean, they're all different kind of actors, but every part I was in, I didn't want to be that part. I wanted to be like me as that part. But I guess that's what actors do too.
Some of them do.
I hated memorizing, though.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I like being myself. I didn't want to memorize someone else's lines. I was like,
you want it to be organic.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to spend a month being someone else. I want
Right.
to be more me. And that's when I was like, oh no, this is not the path for me at all.
Seems unlikely. Yeah. I mean, even the idea that, okay, if I embrace this character perfectly, I might understand it better than maybe the writers do. I would want to say it these ways. And that's a whole.
Yeah.
We'd have to go down that path.
No, I respect actors for that because I think they're very metaphysical. I think what they do is they channel these real characters from real universes and bring them into their body and let them, stay in there and be them because, that's amazing. It's just not my thing.
And sometimes to destructive ends.
Well, that's when we get into channeling and stuff and how a lot of channelers die early or get really sick or don't feel good and don't take care of their bodies. They're actors or channelers.
Never made that connection, and that's such a cool idea.
So like when you're expanding your consciousness and you're bringing other consciousnesses in, if you don't also expand your nervous system and regulate it, you will be a drug addict. You will get into addictive tendency. Like your system becomes decoherent. So I think a lot of actors need to really like look at that kind of stuff, and a lot do, but some don't. But anyway, yeah, there's a thing with like Icarus touching the sun and his wings melt, wax wings, and no one ever I write this in my book, and I think I made like someone just gave him the wrong rings. Like we're not prepared right. Like it's more about our nervous system when it comes to this cool, magical stuff. That if we just learn to do more embodiment practices, the most normal stuff can heal us, like Qigong, energy work, healing our trauma, which also helps expand and heal our nervous system. All of that will heal our interface for reality. So we can do all these channelings and things and not like kill our bodies. Yeah.
I agree. I agree completely. Dana, I think we've said it all.
Yeah.
I think we crushed this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I don't remember anything that happened.
I know how that feels. I have this for a reason.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your busy, busy lives. I know I appreciate you. Dana appreciates all of you.
Thanks for listening if you listened.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
And everybody, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
We're going to go meditate.
Yeah, we're going to go meditate. Shout out, find your local Monroe community group if you have any interest in finding some of those other spaces.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
Dana, thank you again.
Thank you.
Later, gang.
Bye.
All right, gang, that's it for today's episode. A huge thank you to Dana the Alien Kippel for taking time to sit down with me. Big shout out to Dr. Marietta Pelavinova for making the introduction. This episode's listener shout out is to Jacob at the United Airlines customer service desk this past weekend. I don't know how you kept your cool with the holiday delays in the Midwest, but you, sir, rock star. And of course, thanks to Team NMS, Anna, the Wild Orazon, and Emily Rivers. The show wouldn't exist the way that it does without the two of you. Be sure to mark your calendars for our next episode, dropping in 2 weeks. It's another fun one. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment on the show wherever you are. And please share us with a friend. It really helps us grow and bring on even more incredible guests like Dana Kippel. You can also follow along on Instagram at No More Strangers Podcast to keep the conversation going. Lastly, thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, take care, keep exploring, and as always, I hope that you now have one less stranger in your life.